Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online VGC 20 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Yesterday we showed off this really fun Hitmonlee plus Dracozolt team, so playing a couple more games with it today. You can learn more in the description below. After going up against pretty much only Trick Room teams yesterday, we are finally up against some faster paced stuff here with a Venusaur and a Torkoal, so Sun combination. They've got their own Dracozolt, which is interesting, a Mienshao, Darmanitan, and a Grimmsnarl, so a lot of big offensive threats here immediately. They don't have terrain control, so Indeedee plus Hitmonlee is a potential combination, and it could be pretty good potentially in this late game. Dragapult honestly looks really strong as an option here, especially with redirection support. It's like something I'm thinking of is just leading Dragapult plus Indeedee. I think Hitmonlee in the back, just because my opponent's team is pretty fast-paced, so we kind of want to match them with speed, or outspeed them. Dracozolt's actually a really interesting Maxmon in this game, but actually, the more I think about it, the more I think maybe I should go with Dracozolt. Because if I go with Dracozolt, I could go Indeedee Dracozolt, set up terrain. But then it's kind of conflicting with Hitmonlee's terrain. Dragapult is just faster, too, than the Dracozolt, so I don't have to worry about that immediately. Incineroar is actually not bad offensively here. Plus, the Intimidate, I think, is pretty valuable, given that my opponent has Mienshao, the Dracozolt, and the Darmanitan. And Flare Blitz actually does a lot of damage here. So, yeah, let's go with this. We're going to get into the first game of today's episode. Once again, this is a rental team that finished very high up in the ladder last season, so feel free to learn more in the description below. There is a rental code there. As always, if you guys enjoy Road Rank, please share support by leaving a like in the video. I really appreciate it. And question of the day, I'm curious what you guys think has the coolest design out of all the Pokemon that exist out there. Yeah, let me know in the comments below. Okay, it's going to be Mienshao Darmanitan, which I would say is pretty favorable. I mean, Darmanitan's going to be Choice Scarf here most of the time. I could see Mienshao having, like, coaching. Should be really interesting, but like I think just going for a Follow Me and a Max Wormwind is pretty safe. If we had Max Airstream here, I would definitely Airstream instead, but we don't. Another play I could make, which is actually really interesting, is going for a Protect here and just Expanding Force. That does a ton of damage immediately. And I doubt you double up onto Indeedee, actually. So yeah, I kind of want to just Protect Expanding Force. Like, that's going to bring Mienshao down to its Sash. Darm even switches out. Okay. Okay, Grimmsnarl is a good switch in, but I don't waste like a turn maxing into that basically, which is good too. Wonder if it's like offensive Grimmsnarl here. Oh, and Tonk comes out. Okay, very interesting. Well, it's not terrible because I can just max and go for a... Is it sashed? Yeah. What I can do now is just go for a max with the Dragapult and Steel Spike into the Grimmsnarl. And then switch Indeedee out into Hitmonlee. Because now I have Hitmonlee out, that outspeeds the, it outspeeds the Darmanitan. So, like, even if you set up screens, and even if you're Choice Scarfed, Hitmonlee can just, you know, dunk you with a close combat. I've still got Incineroar for Intimidate support as well, which is pretty valuable, given that all my opponent's Pokemon right now lean towards the physical side. So, that was a pretty good turn one. Like, if I just maxed there, actually, I probably would have Steel Spiked anyway. So if I just went for Steel Spike Expanding Force, no, I don't really regret that play, though. I think it was a pretty safe play. We end up getting a fair amount out of it. And once again, like, you should never go for, like, super risky plays turn one. And, like, the safe play, I think, also I could make there is just Follow Me, Steel Spike. But then I do spend a turn on my max immediately, and now by maxing this turn, like, I can do it pretty safely. Okay, so Grimmsnarl reflects, but I don't know how much that's actually really going to help my opponent right now. Ah, it's Babiri Berry. Wow, okay, so not Light Clay. Interesting. Okay, so I get to +1 defense. I'm curious if Mienshao just opted for like a, you know, like a high jump kick or close combat or even a Drain Punch this turn. Wasn't expecting the Babiri, I have to say. Yeah, it's gonna just close combat. Okay, I do take a lot of damage there with Hitmonlee, which I gotta say I'm not a fan of. But I think that's okay. Considering that I can just go for another Steel Spike. And that'll kill Grimmsnarl and just throw Chop into Mienshao. And Psychic Terrain is up, so you can't go for any prio attacks onto my side, so I think it's just a double KO here. And with the... You should have Choice Scarf on the Darmanitan. So if that is Choice Scarf, now with +2 defense and with the Hitmonlee boosted up, I should be able to just pick up a knockout onto that before it, and most... Okay, the big question is whether my opponent can pick up 2 knockouts this turn, right? think the answer should be no. I'm guessing Dracozolt is the last one. Would it have been better to stay in with Indeedee and just expanding Force in that position? I don't think so. Yeah, it is Dracozolt. Okay. I am at +2 defense already, though. I mean, can't I just... Got Incineroar in the back for another Intimidate as well, but it's not going to do much damage. I wonder if Close Combat just still KOs Darmanitan here, because what I want to do is double up onto Darmanitan with a Close Combat and a Max Wormwind. With the 2 defense boosts on Dragapult, I don't think you KO with like a Icicle Crash. So yeah, since Darmanitan should be Scarfed, I'm going to double up onto that slot. Because Dracozolt always maxes here. So basically I'm trying to force like a 3v1 kind of endgame. So let's see. Very fast-paced game so far today. But yeah, Hitmonlee's actually been super, super valuable for us. I don't want to switch out right now because I don't want to give up those boosts. And if I could pick up the knockout here, right, like Indeedee expanding Force just is a pretty good late game scenario against Dracozolt. Although I guess they can just max Lightning to get rid of the Psychic Terrain. Oh, they're still faster. Wow, I didn't expect that. Okay. That's not good. Maybe we should have Steel Spike there then. Okay, we KO'd Darmanitan anyway, so actually by not Steel Spiking that was worth it. Okay. Yeah, that's fine then. I don't even know if you one-shot the Dragapult here, because I have +2 defense and you have -1 attack. If we survive, I think it's game over, because then I can just Dragon Darts. Oh yeah, that is not KO. Nice. Okay, so I thought Hitmonlee would be faster, but yeah, obviously it's not. so it was obviously Scarf Darmanitan. But now I can just bring in Incineroar. I get a Intimidate off immediately, so now it's at -2 attack. I can even Phantom Force, which is really interesting. My max is over, because if I Phantom Force, that means my opponent essentially wastes 3 turns of max. But like Dragon Darts here just does a ton of damage, and we know it's not Scarfed. Yeah, I think just going for Dragon Darts and switching out into Indeedee here is fine. Oh, it is the last turn of terrain. Yeah, but Dragon Darts does so much damage here, right? Dragon Darts... I won't, like, they should be going for Max Lightning in the late game anyway, so I think just going for Dragon Darts and switching to Indeedee here is fine. I think it actually would have been better to just bring Indeedee out outright and then just go for Helping Hand Dragon Darts instead of going for the Intimidate. The Intimidate doesn't actually really help me here. Okay. Yeah, Helping Hand definitely would have been the call. That was actually a pretty bad mistake on my end, in my opinion. Oh, but they actually target the Incineroar slot. Interesting. Well, that is definitely going to seal up the game. I was thinking we probably were fine anyway, because, like, I have 3 Pokemon, and then the Dracozolt's going to be at -3 attack, plus I have Fake Out to cycle with, so it's like, even if you targeted my Dragapult here, Indeedee still has the Focus Sash, I bring in Incineroar, and then Dracozolt's at, like, the same range that it's at right now, right? So then the subsequent turn, I can just go for, like, Flare Blitz Protect, and then we were probably fine anyway, but I think there was no need to bring out the, yeah, they were probably expecting the Phantom Force, actually, which was a nice read on their end, because I was really considering that. I think we would have just won this outright if I brought Indeedee out first. There was no point in bringing out Incineroar, because that Intimidate doesn't actually give me any mileage, and I forgot that we didn't actually have a Parting Shot or U-Turn on the Incineroar. So, like, bringing Incineroar in solely for the Intimidate doesn't actually make very much sense. But, yeah. We ended up winning this mainly because I think Hitmonlee was able to put on a lot of pressure, and in the end, like, my opponent had Mienshao and Grimmsnarl. Neither of those Pokemon actually did very much, and so, like, they put all the eggs in the Dracozolt basket, but it was kind of, like, a little bit too late, because at that point, I already had gotten these defense boosts, and Dragapult just put on so much pressure immediately. But that, you know, that's why you always have to be careful, especially if you're trying to Dynamax turn 1. I think what my opponent was trying to do was obviously bait me into Max Wormwinding turn 1 into the, into the Darmanitan, which switched into Grimmsnarl. Because if you waste a turn of my max like that, that's actually really, really, really good. Which is why, like, always ask yourself if you want to just immediately Dynamax in a game. Often the answer is, like, if you're not taking much damage and you don't get much out of the residual effect, then it's actually better to just not max. Once again, that turn one's like a little risky in the very off chance my opponent like reads into my Protect and just doubles up onto Indeedee with like Ice Cold Crash Close Combat. So it wasn't the safest play, but I was like, in the face of Dragapult, I feel like it's unlikely. Like, you'll want to conserve the Darmanitan for the late game, which is what they ended up doing, so it ended up working out. Alright, next game here. Ooh, Duraludon. That is actually a big problem for us. Yesterday, we went up against Ferrothorn, and we saw how, like, bulky steel types can pose a problem. Duraludon kind of, you know, does the same thing. We don't have Max Quake on Dracozolt either, so gotta say, this is looking kind of scary. Especially because I can't even redirect attacks away from the Duraludon because of Stalwart. Which means I think Snarl and Incineroar actually needs to come out here. Snarl is essential. Man, this is tough. Dracozolt offensively still looks really good, but the thing is, once again, if I bring Dracozolt, I'm locking myself into maxing it, because it's just so unreliable as a non-max mon. Part of me wants to go Incineroar Dragapult here with Indeedee and Hitmonlee in the back. Because what I can do here, if my opponent leads Duraludon, is probably like Snarl, switch out turn 1, and then basically play the game of trying to stall out the Dynamax. But I think Duraludon's really good into this team, and I also think Duraludon right now is just a really good meta call. Ferrothorn and Duraludon have been pretty common throughout VGC 2020, but I think they actually have a pretty good place in the meta right now. Especially because, you know, Rillaboom is everywhere, and having something like Wall's Rillaboom naturally is just really strong. It's gonna be... okay. It's a little frustrating, because I could have let Indeedee Dragapult and just go for, like, Helping Hand Phantasm. I think Phantasm has a slight chance to one-shot Dusclops. I mean, if it's, like, specially invested, then yeah. We're faster with our Incineroar, but in this position, I think my opponent's just going to go Fake Out into my Incineroar, right? Do they have a switch it into Phantasm here? No, not really. Is there any reason to not Fake Out into my Incineroar? I am going to Flare Blitz Phantasm because this punishes the off chance Incineroar just switches out or goes for a Parting Shot turn 1. But I'm thinking, unfortunately, because I didn't lead Indeedee, I don't get to go for the Helping Hand, which means my opponent should get Trick Room up. So not the lead I was expecting. I thought they were going to prioritize Duraludon, and they end up going one step ahead and making the better call in team preview. So props to them. I don't think Phantasm... It's going to leave it, I think, like 10% short. Yeah, there's Fake Out. I mean, I could obviously Fake Out instantly on Incineroar there, but, like, that trade in damage isn't really important, and it's like my opponent messes up there. Yeah, super close, but not enough for a KO. I mean, if you're using Dusclops in this format, to be honest, you should EV it so that it survives that, so I can't say I'm super surprised. So this game just got a lot tougher now. Really curious what... Oh, they actually Will-O-Wisp, though. They don't Trick Room. Okay, I'll take that. I will take that. I think that's actually not bad for us, then. I think just Warm Winding into Incineroar to maximize damage output and Flare Blitzing into the Dusclops here is fine. Now, we are intimidated, or sorry, we are burnt, but there is a defense drop, so I think Wormwind still does 40-50% to Incineroar here. Yep, right around that money. Honestly, I was more worried about Trick Room going up, so I'll take it, I guess. If they miss Will-O-Wisp there, too, they probably honestly just lose the game off that. But can see why they went for it. Will-O-Wisp, you know, not exactly the most common move on Dusclops nowadays. So, I mean, I could have, like, protected turn 1, but I think Trick Room is often coming out in that position, so I don't regret not going for that. So there's Parting Shot. The thing is that my opponent stalled out my max quite nicely, right? I've already spent 2 turns of it. Like, with Pokemon like Dragapult, Porygon Z, you know, like, Dracozolt, you really want to pick up a knockout every turn you have it out on the field. That's why, like, the Helping Hand support can be so valuable, you know, coming from Indeedee. And there's Duraludon, which isn't surprising to see. So this is where, like, Snarl could really hold a lot of value for me. Of course, I have the Hitmonlee. So actually going for a Phantasm alone is valuable here just to get that defense drop onto Duraludon, I think. Yeah. Question is what I want to do with Incineroar here. Because I think my opponent probably just goes for Fake Out into Incineroar. Max Wormwind into Dragapult. I don't want to switch out into either of these, to be honest. So I think I'll just stay in and go for a Snarl here, in case you don't fake out for some reason, and just Phantasm to get that defense drop. Because as soon as I get a defense drop on a Duraludon, one way I can deal with this Duraludon in the late game is just have Indeedee and Hitmonlee next to each other and just go for a Helping Hand close combat with the defense drop compounded on top of that. So that's what I'm going for here. Because Duraludon, I think, was always going to be the max mon in this game. So it's not surprising to see that come out. But my opponent didn't lead it, which was really smart on their end. Basically, they were like, my opponent needs to have something to beat Duraludon in their lead. And so what I can do is just save it as the late game option, which I think is very smart on their end. Okay, we get a Phantasm off. It's not going to do much, but once again, it's more about the defense drop. And honestly, like 25% worth of damage is, I'll take it. I wonder if you actually target the Incineroar here. Like, for that reason, it might have been better just to protect, because, like, I could see my opponent not targeting Dragapult, because Dragapult's burned. Okay, they're going to target Dragapult, though. Nice. That's great. It gives me a free switch in, so I can go out into Indeedee now. My only fear is that they have, like, Max Lightning. I also wonder if Close Combat just knocks out outright right now. I don't think it does, though. Because what I want to do here is bring out Indeedee. The other play is to bring out Hitmonlee. Actually, I should have switched Incineroar out last turn. Because then I would just have Indeedee next to Hitmonlee. I can just go for the Helping Hand Close Combat immediately. I should have thought about the setup a little bit more, actually. Oh, that's my bad. I don't think Close Combat knocks the Duraludon out in the range that it's currently at. And I'm worried about Max Lightnings, too. I'm bringing Hitmonlee out, but I don't know if that's correct. Yeah, I really messed up by not switching Incineroar out last turn. I don't need this Pokemon in on the field, so I wasn't thinking about my positioning super hard, and that's my bad. I think I'm just going to switch out into Indeedee in Close Combat here, but I think Duraludon hangs on with probably like 25-ish%, which is why you really needed the Helping Hand support earlier. That was a bad misplay by not switching out last turn. Because in that position, even, like, Indeedee doesn't really need its Focus Sash in this game. The main thing is getting the terrain up. So, I think that mistake will most likely cost me. I could have also brought Indeedee out protected, but then it's like my opponent has Max Lightning, I don't even get that boost onto the Hitmonlee, and that's super, super bad. Oh my god, never mind, this thing's insane. Oh, we crit. I want to do that calc right now, because I think that crit definitely mattered. Which I feel super bad about. But let's see, Duraludon at -1 defense. Actually, wait. Never mind. Wait, this is telling me -1 defense. Oh, but they just Flare Blitz to KO us. Is that a problem? It might be. It might be. Yeah, this is actually telling me that's a guaranteed knockout. I think I underestimated Hitmonlee. It is base 120 attack. It's saying Close Combat does 80 to 95% on Duraludon with a max HP. So, I actually don't think that crit ended up mattering then. Okay. But Tyranitar's the last one. Yeah, like, Hitmonlee was actually the win con in this game. So if I had Hitmonlee with Indeedee, I could just follow me Close Combat and seal up the game. But now I can't deal with Tyranitar. Indeedee is absolutely useless. Yeah. I had this one. But I think, you know, making those mistakes to learn about how I should better position myself is valuable. So, you know, we at least learn more from this game. And it's not over yet, per se. Like, I think here I'm just going to Helping Hand Flare Blitz. I need to force a 2v1 against Tyranitar. But the problem is that I don't have any offense against either of these without the Hitmonlee. And Hitmonlee beat my opponent's entire team. Okay, Rock Slide. Let's see how much that does. Fair amount. We end up flinching too. Could I have Close Combated into Incineroar? I mean, yeah, actually, if we Close Combat into Incineroar, that also might have been the play, right? Because, like, Hitmonlee's special defense is actually decent. Well, let's see if a Max Wormwind KOs us in return. After the Close Combat drop, it's close. How much bulk do we have on this thing? Oh, a lot, actually. It's max HP, looks like. Yeah, we would have survived. So the correct play in this game was actually to bring in Hitmonlee and close combat into Incineroar. I didn't realize Hitmonlee's defense is so bad. For those that don't know, it's base 53 defense, base 110 special defense. So in that position, what I could have gone for was just knock out the Incineroar, Wormwind doesn't KO us, and then close combat just KOs both Duraludon and Tyranitar the subsequent turn. But the main mistake in this game was not switching out the Incineroar the turn on like 8 up the Fake Out, because I do not need Incineroar, and this is why positioning is so important in VGC, right? Without a way to really switch out very easily. And Incineroar just didn't put on any pressure against what my opponent had in that position. However, you know, good to know that Hitmonlee does that much damage, and like I was thinking the crit mattered, it actually didn't end up mattering at all. However, my opponent made the correct play of targeting into the Hitmonlee slot that turn, recognizing that Hitmonlee was the biggest threat. Alright, going into the third match of the day, I cannot believe the team that we are going up against here. What in the world? It's awesome. Politoed, Whimsicott. I mean, okay. I gotta say, the Mantine. Oh god, and there's a Ferrothorn. Wait, we just lose the Ferrothorn, don't we? How do I beat Ferrothorn? I have to bring Togekiss. That's what I learned from yesterday's episode. Like, that's the only way. So, I mean, that's the biggest takeaway from yesterday's episode. But Drednaw looks absolutely terrifying here. I guess, actually, if it's just Iron Defense, Body Press Ferrothorn, like, regular Crit Kiss, I don't need to max it. Oh, man. Because if I max Togekiss, Drednaw sweeps me, and I think Drednaw is going to be the Pokemon that pretty much always maxes on my opponent's team. So, I think, like, Dracozolt Indeedee works here as a lead. Dracozolt Indeedee, Togekiss, and Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee over Incineroar? Yeah, I mean, Incineroar would only be to intimidate the Drednaw. This is a really cool team, so if we take an L, you know what? It's okay. I'm just frustrated myself for that last one because it was a really clear-cut play to switch into the Indeedee. I just wasn't thinking about positioning super hard. But, once again, some good lessons to learn from that one. But this team is so cool, man. Ferrothorn, once again, is just such a good Pokemon in the meta right now. Okay, Mantine and Indeedee. Oh my god. What do I do here? I don't even want to max. I could just max an Airstream though, right? An Expanding Force. But Indeedee's gonna be faster than us, so that can Expanding Force first. Leading Togekiss would have actually been pretty good here. I don't know. I kind of want to Airstream into the Mantine Expanding Force here. I don't think the opposing Indeedee is that scary. Okay. Ferrothorn, I mean, that's actually great, because that's actually the win con for my opponent. So if I just get so much free damage onto a turn 1, that's immaculate, actually. They're obviously trying to beta max Lightning there, but honestly, like, this Airstream plus Expanding Force should do a solid, like, 60%, I would think. For a Life Orb, even more, but alas, we're not. One of the opposing Indeedee has, like, Imprison. Oh my, wow. That's, like, the dream turn 1. That's so good for us. We had so much free damage, and now we have the speed boost, and we outspeed the Indeedee the subsequent turn, and, like, once again, I need a chunk away at Ferrothorn, like... Alright, that's really solid. I mean, that's, what, 25% of damage immediately. Airstream comes out. Oh god, this thing is so bulky. But, that's fine. Like, we chunked away a lot at it already. It is lefties, which shouldn't really come as a surprise to anyone, but do you just Iron Defense now? Because I can just click Expanding Force again. I don't want to change the terrain, honestly, so I think... I should probably try to KO the Indeedee here, though. So I think Wormwinding into that slot and Expanding Forcing here is fine. Yeah. The thing is that if Ferrothorn... Like, what is Ferrothorn going to do right now, right? Because it's going to be taking... It's already taking a lot of damage. I think it's going to be Iron Defense, Body Press. Follow me. Yeah. I just, like... I think I need a KO Indeedee because I need to get as much out of this Dracozolt as possible, and it means, like, getting a lot out of my third max turn. Like, Expanding Force here brings Ferrothorn to around 35%. Okay. So it's just a lot harder for this thing to actually set up on us, which is good. Okay, and we pick up a knockout. Good, good, good. However, my opponents, you know, stalled out my max pretty well, and if there is that Drednaw in the back, this is still looking pretty scary. Iron defense or Leech Seed? It's Iron defensing. Okay. However, this time I at least have Indeedee and, you know, Hitmonlee itself, close combat still does a fair amount, and then I've got Togekiss for Air Slash as well, which can crit or flinch. 50% chance of crit, 30% chance of flinching, and Ferrothorns most of the time are just going to be Body Press, Leech Seed, Protect, Iron Defense, so you don't actually have a Steel type attack. It's Politoed as the last one. Wow. Okay. Well, in this position... In this position, you should just double Protect. You should double Protect. So I'm actually wondering if there's value to switching Dracozolt outright right now. I just don't want to change the terrain, because I obviously could max Lightning into Politoed here. You know, I could actually also Lightning into Politoed, switch out into the Hitmonlee here, and then just Aerial Ace close combat into Ferrothorn next turn for a knockout. I think that also works. Because I don't need the speed boost or the special defense boost right now. Although now I'm just worried about a late game Mantine sweep. I can't believe those words just came out of my mouth. Or sorry, I get the special defense boost here immediately anyway. Oh, perfect. Okay, nice, nice. So Ferrothorn protects, but that means Politoed isn't protecting. So that's good. Should be a one-hit KO. Yep. However, now my opponent gets Mantine out, right? And I think it could actually be a really big problem for us. I mean, that was a great turn, but you can see how hard I'm working just to try to beat Ferrothorn. I've pretty much played every turn perfectly, and I still don't think it looks amazing for us. Which is a testament to just how sometimes bad matchups can shake up. I think just Bolt Beak and Close Combat here. I don't think Close Combat's enough to knock out, but I still have the Sash on Indeedee, so then Expanding Force will finish off the Ferrothorn. I could have stayed in with Indeedee, but no, I'd rather have Hitmonlee out than Indeedee right now. Because like I was going to change the terrain anyway, and I've gotten my speed boost. Although I don't... Does Mantine outspeed us? I think this Hitmonlee is max HP, max attack. Which is why that Darmanitan outsped us earlier. I mean, Mantine has to have... Oh, this is so interesting actually, right? Because like, what's Mantine's moveset? It's obviously going to be Water Flying, probably Protect. And then it's like, do you actually have a way to one-shot Dracozolt right now? Because if not, then Bolt Beak's just going to KO you if I hit it. So I think what my opponent might be going for is the knockout onto the Hitmonlee and then hope that I miss. I cannot believe we're up against Dynamax Mantine, though. I thought Drednaw was definitely coming out here. I'm surprised it didn't come out, honestly, and I think that's in our favor that it didn't. Oh, he's going to Hailstorm. Okay. Does that one-shot us? Yeah, it does. So, you don't have the rain anymore, though. Which is interesting. Oh, but you can just set the rain back up with a max Geyser, I guess, right? Yeah, it's a Life Orb. Just close combat KO here. Oh, it does. Nice. Huge. That's huge. That was a crit. That might have mattered. I'm going to calc that real quick. Because Ferrothorn's going to be max HP, max defense here. However, with hail damage... I guess he had lefties anyway. Hitmonlee, max attack, close combat. No, I actually think that's a KO. This is telling me max attack, Hitmonlee, close combat against +2, max HP, max defense, Ferrothorn. Does 36 to 43. It looked like it was around like 35. So I think we were actually good there. I don't want to bring out... Indeedee, yeah, I think I want to bring out Togekiss. I mean, we could still lose this to late game Mantine. Which is crazy to say. You probably Geyser here to set up the rain, right? But I could see my opponent Hailstorming to target Togekiss. I don't know, like, I think here I just want a Dazzling Gleam and Rock Slide. Because an Expanding Force will KO the Mantine in the late game. I just have so much offense coming out right now. Oh, that's great damage, actually. Okay, nice. Yeah, he's gonna Geyser. Hitmonlee, I think? Yeah, okay. Yep, that's game. Because now I just bring out Indeedee and I just click Expanding Force. Oh, man. I mean, like, I don't think I honestly would have changed any single play I made in this game, and it was still so hard. Once again, that's just a testament to how good Iron Defense Ferrothorn is and how much pressure that puts. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. That's not a lot of damage. There's not a lot of damage. Because we didn't crit there. Oh, I mean, I obviously want to Expanding Force. How fast is Mantine? I don't remember. I want to double check its base speed. It's base 70. So I think Indy should outspeed it, right? Because we're maxed. But if the rain is up in the subsequent turn, I mean, you should set up... No, the rain is up right now. But it's like, do you Hailstorm into Togekiss right now? Because I think my play is Protect Expanding Force. The only way my opponent gets around this is by Hailstorming into Indeedee. Which would be a really impressive play. But I don't think could I have attacked with both there? Alright, they just Geyser. Okay, that's game. Yeah. Because if you Hailstorm into Indeedee, they did correctly target Indeedee as well, but we have Sash. If you Hailstorm into Indeedee, then I might get knocked out after the Hail damage the subsequent turn. But now this should just be a KO. Okay. Oh my god, though. Wow, that was super, super scary. The more you learn, I mean, Mantine was just a Pokemon I did not have any experience playing up against, and yeah, it has base 140 special defense for those that are wondering, so that's why I took the Dazzling so well. So I thought we were good as soon as the Hitmonlee went down, but evidently not. But that was a really scary game. A really cool team. I mean, two unorthodox Water-type Pokemon that can take advantage of the rain in the Mantine and the Drednaw. I actually thought Drednaw was the scarier matchup, but my opponent probably saw the Dracozolt, and they were a little bit more dissuaded in bringing that, so yeah. I wasn't sure if the Mantine was going to be outspeeding the Togekiss as well, but the Togekiss here isn't, like, max speed, I believe. So, yeah. That was a really interesting matchup, though, and, like, yeah, I don't think I would have really changed any single turn, too, which is a crazy thing, right? Like, but it was still as close as it was, and that's just a testament to, one, how cool my opponent's team was, and how much of a nuisance kind of Ferrothorn is, so... I don't think that close combat crit mattered. If anything, maybe it made it a roll, or like turned it from a roll to a guaranteed knockout. But I think it was around like 35-40-ish. So yeah, close combat was actually doing a lot. Hitmonlee's damage output is just really, really impressive, and I think that's one thing that I've taken away from today's episode. But yeah, this late game against the Mantine. I don't know if they Hailstorm. Actually, let me calc this real quick. Does an Ice Beam actually knock out our Togekiss? Because if not, then we're good anyway. I don't think so, actually. Yeah, even if they're modest with Life Orb and Hail damage. Actually, we were always fine then by going for Protect Expanding Force. Because this is telling me max special attack, Life Orb, Mantine into No Bulk Togekiss does 59 to 70. We were at full HP. So that Expanding Force alone gets that chip damage off. Or actually, Expanding Force just KO'd Mantine in that position anyway, right? So, yeah, we're fine one way or another. I was just worried about Expanding Force not picking up the KO, and then it's a 1v1. But even if it's a 1v1, the Togekiss can just Dazzle the next turn. So, yeah. In fact, I think in that position, we actually could have just attacked with both Pokemon instead of trying to play it fancy. I was worried about Hailstorm one-shotting the Togekiss, but then Indeedee outspeeds the next turn. So, yeah, I think that endgame was actually not super cleanly played, but I don't think it actually really made much of a difference because Mantine's not KOing Togekiss anyway. But cool to go up against that. I mean, I haven't seen a Mantine pretty much ever, and it was actually really, really scary. And I was wondering if I had Hailstorm, because I was like, if you Hailstorm, it's interesting because then you change the weather, and then I can outspeed you for one turn, but then you can just Geyser to put the weather back up. So, yeah. That's going to be it for this one, guys. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please show your support by leaving a like. Thank you, as always, for watching, and have a good weekend. Don't forget to answer that question of the day. I'll see you soon. Peace.